Here we see the beautiful Columbus Circle area, all lit up, the lights still for Christmas. All the beautiful buildings. Now that building right there is 15 Central Park West. A while back when it was first built, all the rich and famous from New York wanted to live in that building, and there was a Russian oligarch that bought an apartment that was like $20 million or $60 million, the former apartment of Sandy Weil, and he let his 18-year-old daughter live in it. She claimed that she was owning it, but like obviously if you're 18 you don't own a very expensive apartment. But that's the kind of buildings that are around here. And this building here is the old Gulf and Western building, and which has been turned into a Trump building. It's a hotel and a condominium residence. So a lot of times the people who own the condominiums in this building could rent out their condominiums as hotel rooms. And some famous people live in this building. And you can see some of the other buildings here at night. Like that tall, thin building, that's the Steinway Tower. Famous. And then that other building that you see that's kind of beige is 220 Central Park South. The creator of Renato Real Estate, that was his pet project to create 220 Central Park South. And he was very, very selective as to who was going to go in it. And you hear about all the super rich and the super famous people that have bought apartments in that building, and especially the super rich and the super famous that bought apartments at the very top of the building. And the other tower was just completed. That's a residential tower and a office space, you know, and retail space. So you can see how it looks very different than if you look at it from the daytime. And it's kind of nice seeing it at night to have a different version of what these buildings look like. And in my opinion, a lot of these buildings where people buy apartments in them, they're really like bank accounts. It's like, where are you going to put an extra 10 million, 20 million? Put it into an apartment. You might not spend much time in the apartment, but in 5 years or 10 years, it'll be worth the 10 million that you put into it. If not more, it'll probably double in value. And that's what's been happening a lot. And in theory, that's why a lot of people have been buying homes in the United States, because they think that it's a good investment. They think that if everything starts inflating, you know, $1 million becomes 2 million in a very short time. So the same concept applies to a lot of the top-notch apartments around here. You put in 5 million or 10 million, you get a lot more back later on when you sell. That's the theory, at least. We all know theories are not always, it does not always go according to theory, as we saw in the year 2008 when everything went down. Now, here we're looking north on Broadway from about 60th Street. You can see all the beautiful buildings around here. This is still Columbus Circle. So when they advertise this area and they say, oh, you want to live in Columbus Circle, that's this area too. And one of the attractions of this area is it's so convenient to Midtown. It's residential, but at the same time, you could walk to Midtown, or you could take transportation from here to Midtown. Look at all the beautiful high-rise apartment buildings. And this is the building I was talking about earlier, 15 Central Park West, that a lot of the very wealthy people in the world bought into. And a Russian oligarch actually bought a full floor apartment here. Just beautiful, beautiful building. And now, if we turn further to the south on Broadway, you can see all the other buildings that are around here. What a beautiful area to live. And we're right next to Lincoln Center, but a little bit further away from Columbus Circle. But still, some people like to think of this area on 63rd and Broadway as still Columbus Circle. And this again is just a chance for people to see what the whole area looks like at night. You see so much of this area during the daytime from different videos, but no one really shows what the area looks like at night. You can see the beautiful buildings all around here. That's what draws the crowds around here. Lincoln Center, Columbus Circle, beautiful buildings all around here. And what we're looking at now is Lincoln Center. The hotels. There's a beautiful hotel that's been around here for a while. And again, this is looking north on Broadway. So the traffic is heading south. Right near Lincoln Center. This is a different view to see all the beautiful buildings at this intersection. And you can see here, this is part of Lincoln Center. It's just beautiful seeing everything. And just to go inside is equally as beautiful. All lit up. What a change from a couple years ago, or just a year ago, where now so many more people are trying to take part in the arts in New York. Here we'll just take a closer look at this beautiful Lincoln Center. wonderful architecture, a wonderful job they have done. And there's all this construction going on around here also. This way, we'll look a little bit further down the streets to see what everything looks like. For a lot of people who don't want to venture into the city or live in other parts of the country or other parts of the world, it's always nice to see what different scenes from New York look like. And here we have another view of Columbus Circle. Just beautiful being around here. And this is the Time Warner building right behind us. Beautiful at night. Beautiful trees all lit up. Street right there is Central Park South. It's like one of the preeminent streets in New York to live on. And that tall building that you're seeing, just a portion of, is 220 Central Park South. This is 57th Street, also known as Billionaires Row. A good vantage point to see all the buildings down here. And then here it becomes 8th Avenue. 8th Avenue and 57th Street. You could look south, the traffic coming north. All the tall buildings around here. And again, this is still the Columbus Circle area, but they kind of dubbed 57th Street between 8th Avenue and 5th Avenue, Billionaires Row. You have all these tall buildings with apartments that are really, really expensive. have the south side of Billionaires Row, between Broadway and 6th Avenue. Now, in the distance, you can almost see Carnegie Hall. That tall building in the background is 432 Park Avenue, the one with the lights on. That's another famous building on Billionaires Row. You can see what the neighborhood looks like around here. And you can see we're very close to the Nordstrom Tower. Right here, it goes up and up and up. They spent a lot of money on that. And then we're right behind 220 Central Park South. Give it time, there'll be a lot more tall buildings around here like those buildings. And here we are able to see the north side of Billionaires Row. Again, the Nordstrom Tower here. Just a beautiful accomplishment there. All the buildings around here. And then looking north on Broadway, you can see more. More interesting things. And again, this is the northern side of Billionaires Row, where they put up all these wonderful buildings that people want to buy the apartments for. But you can take a look. You can see this is one of the buildings that the top floor was sold for like $150 million. But look at how many lights are on. Not many lights are on. That's the whole issue with Billionaires Row. Not that it's a bad thing, but a lot of people are buying apartments for investments and not necessarily to live in. So it's really, really nice that people are able to do that. But, well, let me play devil's advocate. In Beverly Hills, I'm sure there's a lot of people who have a house that they don't live in all the time either. And it's just like in the Hamptons too. People have homes that they don't live in all the time. And someone who could spend $10 million on an apartment in Billionaires Row here in Manhattan, they probably have 2 or 3 other homes too. So they're not going to be living on Billionaires Row all the time, but the argument is given that a lot of times people buy these very expensive apartments more for investment purposes than to actually live in them. And it makes sense. And then if we look south on Broadway, get a better view of like some of the other buildings that are around here. Very popular for offices to be around here. And you can see, if you haven't seen it already, that beautiful Nordstrom store. It took many years to plan the Nordstrom store. Like, you could see it all lit up here, but then these 3 floors here, part of the Nordstrom store, and then that tall building there was, the facade was kept, but the back end of the building was demolished. They made that into Nordstrom, and then you can see Nordstrom in the other white building too. But this is one of the reasons why people like living around here, because there's so many amenities to living around here. Well, that's why it's expensive, because people choose to live in a place that has more amenities and they're willing to pay for it.